Hello, welcome to Ra El Bull. I'm a professional astrologer and holistic wellness practitioner. Thank you so much for choosing to spend these precious minutes of your time with me today. This is the monthly general astrology overview for February 2024. I'm your host and guide, Ifeymerael. I've created a calendar for these monthly videos, which is free for you to access. You simply need to have Google Calendar installed on your device and subscribe to my website. The link for the Ra El Bull website is below. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to support this channel. I'm so grateful for your thoughtful assistance. This month, we'll see the beginning of the Lunar New Year and the Chinese calendar year, which is special for reasons I'll explain. The early days have some wonderful healing and spiritual energies. We have a very fortunate Aquarian New Moon on the 9th. It's a busy month for Mercury. This month, he conjuncts Pluto, the Sun, and Saturn, so we can expect powerful impacts on Mercurial matters and affairs. The mid-month is dominated by Pluto, Venus, and Mars in Aquarius, with three powerful conjunctions of a very adult nature that will be fortunate and gratifying if they're handled responsibly. We have a Virgo full moon on the 24th, followed by a Sun-Mercury-Saturn conjunction in Pisces a few days later, which can be extremely productive and illuminating. The month closes with Jupiter feeling the activations of Mercury and Mars, who conjuncted in late January and took center stage for several days, pulling both the North Node and Uranus into the mix. This month, I'll break up the discussion into 2 or 3 parts. This first part will cover the early month and the new moon. Part 2 will cover the mid-month and the Virgo full moon. The last part will cover remaining aspects, including the Mercury-Saturn conjunction and other transits, although I may consolidate parts 2 and 3, depending on the length. The first week of February features some very positive transits for spirituality and creative pursuits. Our Capricorn Mercury harmonizes with Neptune and Pisces on the 2nd, lending our higher spiritual virtues to our thinking and communication, as well as stimulating our creativity and design skills, and enhancing our ability to think and express the imaginary, the imaginal, and to develop fantasy and illusion. The following day, the 3rd, Capricorn Venus trines Black Moon Lilith, generating yet another Earth trine, which had dominated the astro skyscape since early December. This divine feminine transit brings love and beauty into our inner realms and soothes our inner wounds, helping us to appreciate the outcast and alienated inner selves. Additionally, Lilith's psychic, intuitive, and creative powers can enhance our approach to relationships and heighten our aesthetic senses. Another healing influence occurs on the 5th when the Sun harmonizes with Chiron. The Sun can help illuminate our deepest wounds and can revitalize and energize our approach to healing and efforts at treatment and recovery. The 5th of February has a couple challenging aspects. First, Mercury conjuncts Pluto between 0 and 1 degrees of Aquarius. Pluto has only been in this sign for about 15 days. His entry there is a profoundly important astrological moment I spoke at length about in part 3 of my January general astrology series. I'll say more about it in conjunction with my commentary on the new moon in a moment. Pluto empowers whatever he touches, often razing it to the ground or burning it to ashes so he can completely recreate it. Mercury conjuncts Pluto 2 to 4 times per year on average, sometimes more depending upon the retrograde cycles. Depending on where these conjunctions land in your chart, they can be stressful and impactful on your mental clarity, analytical abilities, writing and speaking, and in the realm of the physical, on your transportation usage and your mobility for day-to-day travel. The second challenging aspect is on the 5th. Venus in Capricorn squares wounded healer Chiron. At the same time, the Sun is harmonizing with Chiron. This can mean a few challenging inner dynamics. Our desires for pleasure and love or our aesthetic values may rub against our internal wounds, or our relationship dynamics may aggravate our internal wounds. Last, our inner wounding related to money and finances might be called to our attention. Whatever discomforts arise, the sun's energy, joy, and vitality is with us to help mitigate it. Let's talk about the Aquarius new moon. That occurs on the 9th, about 3 p.m., 2:58 p.m., 20 degrees, 40 minutes Aquarius. This new moon ushers in the year of the wood dragon in Chinese astrology and Taoist cosmology. 2024 is also the year planetary titan Pluto stabilizes his entry into transformational, forward-looking, wish upon a star Aquarius. Even better, this wood dragon new moon is the first Aquarian Plutonic new moon in 225 years. The last wood dragon year in which there was an Aquarian Plutonic new moon was 1784, 240 years ago. In that year, both the treaties of Paris and Constantinople were signed. The Treaty of Paris ended the American Revolution. The Treaty of Constantinople brought peace to the Crimea, which is the peninsula in the Black Sea linked to Ukraine. I think there's plenty of reason for optimism for both America and Europe this year. The wood element in Chinese astrology, 5 elements metaphysics, or Wu Xing, means growth, expansion, assertion, actualization, and development. It's strongly naturalistic and shamanistic. The dragon power animal represents values, virtues, good fortune, integrity, intelligence, independence, energy, ambition, and success. Plutonic energies are about our personal evolution, endings and new beginnings, total permanent transformations, personal power, investigation, occult power, and hidden knowledge. Aquarius is invention, community, the public good, decentralization of power, the higher mind, novelty, and individuality. The moon here in Aquarius is altruistic, humanitarian, visionary, imaginative, and eccentric. And new moons are about new beginnings and seeding new wishes. If you have a new moon wish manifestation practice, prioritize your wishes that resonate with the wood element, the dragon attributes, the dynamics of evolution and rebirth, and Aquarian values this month. In terms of health or medical astrology, Aquarius rules the lower legs and ankles, as well as the circulatory systems and our immune response. So wishes relating to those are also ideal for this new moon. Around the time of this new moon, let's look at the other prevailing astrological energies. First, the Sun and Venus are both stimulating Aquarius's ruler in Taurus, Uranus. Capricorn Venus trines Uranus exactly 2 days prior on the 7th, but we should still feel its effects, surprising, novel, shocking, and unpredictable impacts on our senses of aesthetics, values, love, relationships, money, beauty, sensuality, and pleasure. The same day, the 7th, Venus squares the North Node, amplifying the intensity. This is an excellent transit for stimulating our creativity and arriving at unique, high-impact, futuristic approaches to our style, fashion, and design sensibilities, and injecting new individualistic and self-expressive energies into our relationships. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, where Uranus is now transiting. His harmonizing with Venus is very positive for our personal property and possessions and our finances. However, the Venus-Rahu square points to some conflict or required decision-making relating to Venusian matters, love, relationships, money, possessions. So we may arrive at a crossroads or an intersection here that presses us to make a choice. The Sun is also stimulating Uranus. On the 8th, the Sun in Aquarius squares Aquarius ruler Uranus. And at the same time, the Sun is separating from its North Node sextile on the 7th. The Sun square Uranus means that our desire for freedom and rebellious self-expression are in conflict with our ego, identity, vitality, and life purposes and objectives. But the harmonizing angle, the sextile with Rahu, the North Node, which is our Dharma, is a positive, and it acts as a softener or a redirection of this tension. Be careful about unpredictable outbursts, ego inflation, rash actions, and accidents, however. Be mindful and conscientious and even-keeled if events require difficult measures or efforts. Uranus rules explosions as well as instruments and machinery. An abundance of caution around the 7th through the 9th is good advice. These two powerful activations of Uranus, Aquarius ruler, will amplify the power of the new moon. It's an excellent dark moon for intention setting and wish manifestation practice. The second set of astro energies around the time of the new moon, also on the 7th, our fully activated and highly empowered Mars in Capricorn forms a sweet angle with Neptune, who is still luxuriating in the last 5 degrees of Pisces. Like the Venus-Uranus trine on the same day, this transit too is superb for our imagination and creativity. Mars innervates and empowers Neptune's imaginal capabilities and potent artistry and fantasy faculties. From the opposite direction, we can also say that Neptune lends his unity, empathy, compassion, and high spirituality to our assertive, ambitious, and sometimes overly aggressive Mars. In general, this is a great aspect for both spiritual pursuits and creative endeavors. The third set of aspects at play around the time of the new moon involve Piscean Saturn and Taurian Jupiter and Mercury in Aquarius. First, Saturn and Jupiter are still in a harmonious aspect and are now separating from their near exact sextile on the 28th of January, which formed one of the 4 sides of the grand Earth trine kite I spoke about in January's general astrology. This carries forward the heightened productivity and foundation building aspects I've been discussing since early December in connection with the superabundance of Earth trines, most remarkably with Jupiter and Uranus, but also with numerous other planets. The day after the new moon, on the 10th, Mercury in Aquarius squares Jupiter, setting up some tension or pressure with our thinking, communication, or mobility. Jupiter's powers of expansion and optimism can increase our reasoning abilities and widen the scope of our thinking and communication, but Jupiter can also seduce us into overestimating, overinflating our analysis, and exaggerating in our speech and writing. We might also suffer from drowning in information or find ourselves paralyzed because the scope of our thinking or communication swells to unmanageable levels. Like the Venus and Sun's stimulations of Uranus, this aspect too will augment the power of the new moon to help us set our intentions and grant our wishes. Let's look now at the middle of the month. The period between the new and full moons in February has a fairly even blend of good, mixed, and hard aspects. On the good and mixed side, the Sun enters Pisces on the 18th, and Mercury enters the same sign on the 22nd, a couple days before the Virgo full moon happens on the 24th. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, which we'll discuss in a moment. Mars and Venus both enter Aquarius mid-month, Mars on the 12th, Venus on the 16th. Neither of these 4 planets are in poor dignity in these 2 signs, fortunately. Mercury has a positive aspect with Chiron on the 15th. That suggests positive communication and mental activity with respect to our internal wounds. Mercury also sextiles Rahu on the 16th. So we can expect favorable alignments relating to our thinking, communication, and mobility with our future and our life path. Putting those 2 together, it's a healthy, forward-looking realignment of our outlook for our inner world and its traumas and discomforts. Venus in Capricorn forms a harmonious angle with Neptune on the 13th. So that's wonderful for spirituality and creative matters. However, she conjuncts Mars on the 21st. That can cut in both directions. It can be highly positive for relationships and sex, but can also create conflicts in masculine-feminine relationships. Before they conjunct with each other, however, they'll both take separate meetings with the big guy. So let's talk about the hard this month. Mars, Venus, and Pluto are in an unmistakably adult NSFW love triangle this month. The first clearly challenging aspect is Mars conjunct Pluto on the 13th between 0 and 1 degrees Aquarius. This transit only occurs about once every 2 years, so it can be impactful. Both these planets are rulers of Scorpio, whose energetic flavors are about deep and penetrating investigation, insight, and rebirth. Scorpio and its rulers are also linked to sex and death, especially taboo and edgy sorts of pleasures. Pluto is about power and very often destruction and regeneration. Pluto conjunctions can feel like running into a brick wall in some respect. It's helpful to know where 0 degrees Aquarius falls in your natal chart to examine this. Mars is our ambition, assertion, aggression, passion, and drive. Pluto obliterates whatever he touches, usually, so he can remake it better. We could see our ideals about our ambition and purpose, or our drive, passion, and energy collapse in some manner. But this is only temporary. If Pluto quashes such things, he's going to regenerate them with even more power. So buckle in. Another possibility with this transit is a power surge of our ambition and willpower minus the collapse or quashing. A caveat here: the shadow sides of these energetic facets are power lust, domination, subjugation, oppression, aggression, violence, and self-centeredness. Any hard aspect between these two planets, Mars and Pluto, is potent, potentially dangerous, and destructive. It's a robust and adult-oriented transit we need to approach with discretion, discernment, self-control, and mindfulness. Fortunately, in humanitarian and altruistic Aquarius, the darker aspects won't be amplified. The following day, we should be very careful about our feelings and our sense of our personal needs, because the moon forms triple squares with both Mars and Pluto and with Venus. Thankfully, the moon enters peace-loving, good-natured Taurus the same day, where she's exalted and in her highest expression, so that should soften and sweeten matters considerably. Other hard aspects this month. The final difficult mid-month aspects are Mercury squaring Uranus on the 16th and Venus conjuncting Pluto on the 17th. Let's talk about Mercury-Uranus before turning back to the issue of the Pluto menage a trois. The former aspect suggests shocking and unpredictable communication and possibly transportation or mobility mishaps. But it can also mean highly innovative and insightful thinking and communication, epiphanies, lightning downloads, brilliant insights, and novel approaches to problem solving, teaching, and learning. Now, back to Pluto and company. As Venus is tracking closely behind Mars at present, she'll also conjunct Pluto this month. This occurs a little more than once per year on average, so it's not quite as rare as the Mars conjunction. Venus conjunct Pluto intensifies our desires for love and pleasure. Also, our power to magnetize Venusian objectives and pursuits may be increased: wealth, love, relationships, luxury goods, etc. Like Mars conjunct Pluto, the darker aspects of Pluto may also mean that we're driven to explore the more taboo aspects of sexual relationships, and we could be drawn into relationships that reflect asymmetric extremes in the balances of control or power, or we could be attracted towards perpetrator-victim scenarios. Again, this is an adult-oriented transit that requires a level of sobriety, self-honesty, and clear-eyed appraisal. A final comment here is that while the Aquarius placement doesn't stimulate the darker aspects of Pluto, we should remember that Mars was in this conjunction only 4 days prior, and we can expect some residue of the physical and sexual intensity to be present in our experience when the love goddess meets with the Lord of the underworld on the 17th. Moreover, 4 days later, after they both ventured into Pluto's subterranean palace, Venus and Mars will join each other on the 21st at 7 degrees Aquarius. This entire 9-day period, the 13th through the 21st, is wrapped up in Martian, Venusian, and Plutonian energies, flavored and modulated by the newly powered up constellation of Aquarius. This period is bursting with potential, but remember, enjoy responsibly, with an emphasis on responsibly. If you need to know how to discover where your houses fall within your natal chart, you can visit any search engine site and type free natal astrology chart. You'll have to key in your birthday and time if you know it, and your place of birth. I recommend choosing the Placidus or whole sign house system. If given a choice, I'd start with tropical Western astrology rather than Vedic or sidereal. Or you can visit my site listed in the description below if you'd like your chart prepared by a professional astrologer. This video has provided some broad and generalized astrological advice. If you'd like customized and focused advice about a particular event or undertaking, please contact me using the information below, and you can place an order directly on my site. In addition to natal chart and electional chart services, I also provide Sophianic spirituality, higher self activations, and general consultations for spirituality, health and wellness, and career. You can also schedule time for a one-to-one consultation with me directly on my site. If you're in the Los Angeles area, please take a look at the online group I organize, the Los Angeles Shamanism Meetup Group. We have our first meeting on February 11 in West Hollywood. I'll provide a link for that below. Last but not least, if you're interested in participating in a Sophia Circle Journey, I'm a certified Sophia Circle Journey leader who conducts both live in the Los Angeles area and online virtual circles. Instructions for joining can be found on my site on the services page. Thank you again for spending your time with me today. Rael.